G'day guys, welcome to the beginning of a brand new and exciting chapter because it is Lunar New Year, and as you know we are moving from the energy of the snake into the energy of the horse. And this year it's about the fire, it's all about fire. Last year was the wood snake, this is the fire horse, and this is all about passion, about movement, internal movement, external movement. It's about travel. It's about change. It's about opportunity. So for me, as you all know, the snake is a very powerful teacher. Snake is about letting go. It's about releasing. It's about surrendering. It's about turning something that's not so great into something better. It's about transmutation of what was to what could be. Does that make sense? Snake is a powerful healer. The energy of snake is just so profound. If you watch and observe snake, you'll see that it's shedding its old skin and making way for the new skin, which emerges from underneath. And the new skin is always more vibrant. It's like iridescent almost. So when you're working with the energy of snake, it's all about consciously making change, about planning and making change, literally releasing the old to make way for the new. Horse sort of feels like to me as if it's the natural progression, because horse takes what you've created and says, let's do something with that. Let's take it somewhere else. Let's turn this into something even more powerful. When you think about the evolution of humankind and our relationship with the animals, one of the earliest animals that we are documented to have associated ourselves with, or more importantly, the animal that associated itself with us, was the horse. And you think about people before they had horses working with them, they were sort of stuck in their valley, if you like. They didn't really know what was beyond those mountains that surrounded their valley. Horse said, climb on my back, and I'll take you there and we can have a look together. The horse had the power to carry them to those new places. They had the power to transform their awareness of the world by giving them a broader perspective and a wider view of the world in which they lived. And when you think about the fire energy, it's about passion, it's about that gut knowing, it's about sexual energy. And think about when you're a teenager and the height of summer, when we're on holidays here in Australia. We're on holidays and we're at the beach, and where, you know, the world couldn't be more positive, it couldn't be more alive. Here we are in the teenage years at the beach in the direct sun, under the glaring sun, so it's just harnessing that potential that runs through all our bodies at that prime time of our life. Does that make sense? So fire energy for me is taking risks, but not just any old risk, calculated risks. Because when you are working with the energy of fire, you have to be conscious of the fact that fire has a mind of its own. A little bit of fire, it can light a room, light a candle, it can light a room. A little bit more fire can warm your hands. A little bit more fire can cook your dinner. And if you let that fire get out of control, it'll not just cook your dinner, it'll cook you as well and burn the house down. So we've got to make sure that this energy that we're working with is focused, and that we give it purpose, and that we give it a direction in which to move and grow. We give it boundaries. So that's what this year is all about for me. This year, with the energy of the horse, it's about trying new things. It's about stepping out of our comfort zones. It's making new adventures and bold new steps where you've never been before, because this energy really supports, particularly when it is combined with the energy of fire, it supports journeys and those new chapters, the embracing of that new realization. It teaches us to listen to our gut. It's not so much our head, because you think about when you're a teenager, you didn't really think with your head. You followed your instincts. You thought, I will survive anything. So here you are jumping off rooftops or climbing tall poles, all sorts of things that you probably wouldn't do if you were consciously thinking about it. So this is about taking those instinctive steps forward, listening to your gut, listening to what's going to benefit you, and having the courage, if you like, to move forward, to listen to your instincts. So for me, with all that combined this year, particularly with the energy of the fire horse, it's a year of growth. a year of regeneration, renewed strength, broader awareness, and that alignment with your true path. Does that make sense? That let's go and see what's on the other side of those mountains. Let's journey this, turn it into an adventure rather than just a haphazard journey. Does that make sense? Into an adventure with purpose. So, how do we harness that energy? How do we bring that energy into our life? How do we welcome the energy of the fire horse into our life? Well, in my world, I just simply look at the horse and I look at the colours of the horse. So this is a fire horse, so when you think about the fire horse, I think of chestnut horses. I think of that really rich, deep red, not brown, but deep red chestnut horse. I think of colours associated with chestnut and that colour red, like scarlets and bright fire engine reds, cherry apple reds, all those sorts of colours. I think of, and I break it down a bit to oranges and rust and coral colour, and not pink, but that coral red colour. Does that make sense? So wear those colours, wear them. Wear a jumper or a shirt or shoes, just something that's going to bring that energy into your life, so you're consciously inviting that energy into your life. And I've got a list here. Also, the stabilising colour. Do you think how solid it is to be on a horse's back? Some people get frightened riding a horse. I always feel grounded and connected to the earth more when I'm on a horse because they're so solid, they're so resolute, they know exactly, they're not going to put themselves in danger for you. So if they feel safe, you are safe. So when I think of myself on a horse, I think of stability, and I think of reassurance, and I think of confidence, and I think of that knowing that we're on the right path. So think about colours that are connected to the earth, who the horse is standing on Mother Earth's back, terracottas, those earthy tones, those earthy browns. Some might say autumnal colours, which is what we're moving into now from summer into autumn. So those colours are right, the oranges, the golden colours. Warm, neutral colours. All those colours are great because they're really earthy and solid. And so you think about, in my world, all the animals are connected to an element anyway, but we're talking about a fire horse. So when you talk about the wheel of the elemental wheel, here in Australia everything's reversed. So, in the north, we might be talking about facing the energy of the south and the energy of fire because it's associated with the south. Here in Australia, the energy of fire sits more to the north because it's closest to the equator and that's where the warmer parts of Australia are. It makes perfect sense. So, even just facing yourself in a northerly direction when meditating, for example, or when looking at the day ahead and planning what you're going to do, just stand and face the north. As simple as that. You're embracing the energy of fire and the energy of the fire horse because you're planning your actions and you're standing in the direction that elementally corresponds with that. Does that make sense? Even just lighting a candle in the evening, for example, while you're planning your next day, that's all about embracing the energy. So I think it's really powerful just to consider those simple points. And lucky numbers. I love the fact that these we get to work with lucky numbers and numbers that are not unlucky, but there are numbers that aren't going to serve you so well. So I've had to write these down because I probably would have forgotten. And the wind is blowing my note paper, so it's 2. I've just got to lean forward to check. Hang on. Oh my gosh, I should have just followed my gut. I should have just remembered. 2, 3, and 7. So if you wanting to ensure that the next chapter of your life in this next 12 months is beneficial, 2, 3, and 7, any combination at all of those numbers is going to work for you, apparently, more productively. So any combination is 2, like say 23, 37, those sorts of combinations. But if you're going to plan dates or you're going to plan, prepare for a time, for example, for a really important meeting, choose those times if you're able to. The dates, even if you're looking to buy a new house, for example, to start off on the right foot, you could look for those numbers. The unlucky numbers, of course, here we go again. It is for the numbers that are not 2, 3, and 7, obviously. So how about we go with 1, 5, and 6? Sorry about that. 1, 5, and 6. So again, the same combinations. If you work with combos, 1, 5, and 6 is not going to be as beneficial as 2, 3, and 7. It's just worth thinking about. I wouldn't be focusing on it too much. I wouldn't be worrying about it. I wouldn't be losing sleep over, making sure your appointments or whatever are centered around those numbers. But you've got information. It's best to be, consider everything at your disposal. So when I think about what plants you might like to bring into your home or into your office or your workspace to really support the energy of the fire horse, think of plants that have that really strong sort of fiery scent to them, or something, the smell that's really going to stop you in your tracks. So when I think of rosemary, I think of bay leaves because they've got that beautiful earthy smell, basil, chili, those sort of hot, striking scents, those ones that stop you in your track. We've all got memories of brushing past a rosemary bush and having that shock of scent hit you in the face. And think about that and what rosemary is all about. It's about remembrance. It's about tapping back into that knowing of who we are and what we are about and what inspired us in the past. It's all worth considering. It's all worth thinking about. Sunflowers, marigolds, all those sorts of bright sun colours that represent fire, that represent the sun, that remind you of those vibrant energies, but also that bring you that, when you look at them, they make you happy and joyful and alive, if you like. So think about all that, bring those energies into your home. And I guess it's the same with crystals too, so citrines and all those sort of yellowy golden colours, stones like fire stones, sunstones, citrine. Look, I'm more into the animals, so you work with the crystals that appeal to you. If you're not sure which ones to choose, like just plain clear quartz is going to sort of cover all your bases anyway. But you think about the colours I mentioned, but even coral, chalcedonies and carnelians, that's what I was trying to say, carnelians, all those bright orange colours, the red colours, the yellow colours, colours of the sun. Makes sense. Colours of the flames. Alright, so as I said to you before, horse, it's very simple. Snake is about shedding and releasing. Horse is about movement, forward movement, travel, purpose. So if you're going to work with the energy of these animals, particularly the horse this year, and I would have said this last year with the snake, horse is about not holding back. Horse is about taking risks, calculated risks. It's also about not allowing yourself to become stuck in a rut. It's about not letting those old patterns, those old beliefs, those old ways hold you back. The fear of trying something new. Horse isn't into that at all. So if you're prepared for this year, if you've taken the time to really get ready for this new chapter of life, everything's going to work well because you won't be afraid to follow horse's lead. Does that make sense? So when I said about taking risks, they need to be calculated. So don't do unnecessary, spontaneous, silly things. Make sure that the decisions you're making are based on a bigger picture, and where you really see yourself being in a short while. Does that make sense? And, with all this action, it's very important to you to rest. It's very important to take a breath so you don't burn yourself out. These are fire words, right? So don't burn yourself out. You've got to make sure that, and don't burn the candle at both ends. Don't overdo things. Don't overtax yourselves. And so routine is important, making sure you stick to a routine and follow your own internal routine, but also being aware of what's expected of you and making sure that you've allowed time and space to fulfill all the things that are expected of you this year. And yeah, it's not so much about getting things done in a hurry, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's about making sure that you pace yourself, that you are resolute and steady in your progression so that it's not scattered energy, because scattered energy is wasted energy, okay? And making sure that you remain grounded, taking walks barefoot on the earth, for example. Look, when I need to be grounded, because I'm a very I can be quite spontaneous, and I listen to my gut, and I think it's a sign. So in the early years, I used to carry river stones in my pocket, pebbles, and I'd feel them in my pocket, not crystals, because I wanted something that was not aligned with any particular type of energy. So I'd carry little river stones, and I love river stones, the round flat ones. And I'd carry them in my pocket, and when I heard them or I felt them bang against my leg, I would know it's time to stop and just be still, take a deep breath and center yourself. Do that, try that, all right? So this year, wonderful year, it's all about adventure, it's about starting a new chapter, it's about letting go of the past. Whatever it is the snake helped you release, it's about moving on from that, not running away. It's about shedding it's about shedding what no longer serves you to embrace what you're being put on this planet to do and to achieve and to realize about yourself. Does that make sense? So happy new year. I hope this next 12 months is powerful for you. I expect it to be powerful for me, and I hope and I pray that it's powerful for everyone in a productive way. So thanks so much for listening, and if you want to know more about me, check out animaldreaming.com. There's a lot of information in there. Thanks so much, guys, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon.